For those of you who do not know, DC Showcase was a series of comics that were meant to be pilots for characters of some sorts. I guess we could say most of them were successful, some of them were not. Heck, some characters who got their own series would go back to DC Showcase. That's like a 12th grader going back to kindergarten. Man, DC has a colorful roster of obscure characters more than I thought. Hopefully there's some gay volleyball in this comic. So today, since I own some physical copies, we are going to be taking a look at the DC Showcase of Barry Allen's Flash and Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. Starting off with Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. Okay, are these characters superheroes or are they just doing some normal human stuff? Gay. Damn, comics are making me realize that stingrays are much cooler than I thought. Okay, on to the video. We all know the origin of Hal Jordan, a pink-skinned guy, so he's gay, came from outer space, and the Ring chose him to be the next green space popo. Nice fish-looking plane, by the way. Now keep in mind, the Corps is not called Green Lantern. Hal Jordan only calls himself Green Lantern because his equivalent to cocaine is shaped like a lantern. Then we have the greatest oath ever in comics. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light. Now, Hal's ring can't affect anything that is yellow, so he can't fight Asians. Some people might say, that's stupid, it's childish. Well, to me, it's not because it adds a weakness and suspense to the character and story. Hal Jordan's girlfriend is named Carol, beautiful name. She is put in charge of the airplane place, or Captain Crunch, whatever it's called. So she can't date Hal anymore, but Hal does the classic flirt. Look, I'm not a romance crazy. There are some relationships in comics I like, such as The Thing and Alicia Masters or Rogue and Gambit. I don't really care for this one either, but I will give credit where credit is due. She doesn't know Green Lantern's secret identity, which is Hal, prefers Green Lantern over Hal. I get that both are the same character, but... After all, Hal saves a Native American rocket. His first fight starts with him flying through a wall. I don't like that. And the baddies throw yellow lanterns, yellow vases, and yellow bananas as defense. Hal stops those runaway crackers' car with blue ice. I prefer if it was green ice, but hey, they fixed that issue in later issues. And in the same comic, he catches the baddies with green lightning. After a disco party, Hal saves the city from a yellow nuke. But thank God it has a red tip. So Hal gets to net it. I think Carol would prefer that nuke instead of both Hal Laboratory and GL. The nuke was targeted towards a power plant, so Lantern fights the perpetrator. Stop going through walls! How many times do I have to tell you? So then Green destroys a ray by turning it into water. That's a little OP, so I don't like it. It would have been better if it was a water ray, and Green Lantern just jogged it and kablooey. Better yet, how about green water? Next up, Hal travels to Venus because the green basketball told him to. Fun fact, at the time there was so much speculation about Venus. Could it be just like Earth? Could it be a giant ghetto? Could it be one big tourist destination? And then reality unfortunately hit us. Yay. I mean, I'd hang there. Forget about your boyfriend and meet me in the hotel room. Think about your girlfriend. We get in the hotel. But the comics reality shows us that there are blue men with their own language. Jordan Countryside uses his ring to translate blueese. I like this because it's not too OP and it's unique. Hal has to fight Pteranodons who are Asian, so Hal can't fight them. So instead, he scares them away via a giant freedom bird, then traps them into a cave. Don't worry folks, they're not gonna be free, they're gonna starve to death. So the Smurfs start work on human evolution of technology. That's actually really good because a human, that being Hal, gets to see how a species similar to man got their start. It kind of feels biblical to me. Then Hal Malaysia's back to Earth, and fights his first supervillain, the Invisible Destroyer. He's a freak without a head, but a costume and helmet. And since part of his suit is yellow, Green Lantern has difficulty fighting him. We then discover that Dr. Jack Kirby created Invisible Destroyer. I'm not gonna do the father and son metaphor, that's gay. So, because of a mind probe, Invisible Destroyer comes out of his mind and back in. He goes in, he goes out. He goes in, he goes out. He goes in, he goes out. Super Claude Rains invites Hal for a fight via newspaper. Original text messages, am I right? Who didn't communicate to other people via secret message in a newspaper? Invisible Destroyer is about to Oppenheimer innocent men, women, children, and cats. So, after a fight, Red Lightning versus Green Matter, Invisible Destroyer disintegrates. Boo. And he never appears again. I did my research so I can confirm. Now that Hal defeated his first supervillain, they grow up so fast. There's a place at the pier called the Black Museum. I wonder if Cyborg is gonna sign autographs there. Hal has to find a red man named Tiger Lily. I'm just kidding, his real name is Darkface. Carol's main struggle in this is that she wants Green Lantern, who she still thinks him and Hal are two different people, by the way, is going to propose to her. But he is too busy making small Green Lantern claws to save people. A roller coaster goes haywire, but because it's yellow, Hal cannot save it. So he uses springs on the shade, I assume because it's black this time and not yellow, to save the guests.
Lame and gay.
Before their next kiss, Lantano follows Darkface Man to the Black Museum. A token Native American with a black mafia fighting Green Lantern? This is gonna be cool. Green Lantern then creates green microphones so he can listen to Evil Plan's podcasts. And then us, the reader, are catfished. Green Lantern is tied up under a rocket, but he breaks out easily. Would have been better if there was a struggle. Or died of radiation poisoning, I don't know, Marvel. He puts 3 humans in a cage and stops the red nuke. Thank God, I don't want a Pearl Harbor from the color red. In our next story, Carol then explains a dream she had to Hal. She said she had a dream where she married Hal, the Marcel sang at the wedding, and when someone named Perry jumps off a building, Hal turns into Green Lantern and then saves him by one of those inside-out flip-flop toys. How does that not tip her suspicions? So then Hal and Carol's car drives down the imaginary bridge to the Grand Canyon. Green parachute. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. She passes out in shock, and then 2 asshole doctors feel the need to give me my pills when I was just in a freak accident. It is described the old doctor and the young pharmacist found an alien that can grow to a giant. Since the giant has yellow optic glass, Hal of course has difficulty fighting him. Hal then reads his mind via the ring, and Hal discovers his deep dark secret fetish. I'm just kidding. This giant is actually a good guy, and he doesn't want to be a giant destroying the city, but since that the buildings are in his way too much, he has to. So he's put in a giant test tube, and the way he suffocates, he shrinks. This is unique storytelling for the giant octopus from War of the Gargantuans, and makes you sympathize with him. Carol wakes up from not death, and she goes back to the mindset that both Hal and Green Man are still different. I don't hate the secret identity plot in superhero stories, but it depends how you use them. You either spend little time like Daredevil, or have a long, dragged-out romance like Green Lantern. Speaking of red people, next up, DC showcases The Flash. Yeah, HJGL's was a little lame, but trust me, DC does have a colorful roster more than I thought. Trust me, I got some cool printed copies of A Girl Who Turns Into a Giant, a Robot, and Claude Rains if he had a fucking Human Torch living inside of him. Yo, Jack Kirby had his own crossover? Sick. Speaking of Jack Kirby, take a look where Darkseid came from. Black Lightning, yes. Say what you want about Tony Isabella, but he knows his superheroes. Woo! Stephen Amell went violent. These aren't superheroes, this is a bomb squad for the most random shit. I'm definitely gonna get Purple and Orange guy very soon. Who came up with his design? That's genius. Oh yeah, dude. So let me know in the comments, which DC comic should I review next? That I own physically, of course. Next up, Barry Allen's The Flash. Barry Allen was reading a Universe in joke. Okay, so is that comic based on real life and context of this universe, or is it fiction in this universe? Yeah, I never been a fan of comic characters reading about other comic characters, because the writers knew exactly what they were doing. Then he gets his powers when a shelf of human spit felt the wrath of God. It makes sense, because spit makes men fast! The Flash's suit comes out of a ring, which is probably the most original suit idea I've seen in a bit. Most of the time, the suit comes out of nowhere, the suit is behind their real clothes, or they just come into battle with that. This right here is a wedding ring into your new identity. So now his first target is actually a slowpoke. He must have sucked from running from the school bully if that's the case. Now this idea of fast good guy fighting slow as fuck bad guy might sound stupid, but the writers make the most of him. He talks very slow, one word, dash dash dash, one word, dash dash dash. Black guy soul music, dash dash dash, Christopher Lee brownface, dash dash dash, moon landing was fake, dash 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 dash! He tricks the Flash by running into a shadow, catfished and racist. He tricks Barry into kissing a bear trap, he tricks him into humping a cactus, and the Turtle has a fast boat, faster than the Flash, faster than a Soviet nuke. Okay, the second story is a Baldo criminal from the future sentenced further into the future, but he accidentally goes to the past. He does a little mischief via his firing gun so he can get the resources to get back to his own time. We get this amazing shot of the Flash jumping through fire rings. Seriously, when I tried that, I got 3 birthmarks. I'm jealous! Baldo's then taken to jail, and then escapes with the power of the sun and his eye contact. Melted cage. And then the Flash time travels by running so fast. Yeah, I don't like that. I like that idea better in Flashpoint because it's something Barry discovers so he can right a wrong in the past, causing more wrongs in the future, and it leads to the big story. Here, he just brings a criminal who's not powerful at all back to the future to get a judge hammer to the balls. Hey, Flash, when you're traveling through time, can you punch my middle school principal? Holy crap, they had those kind of shavers back in the day? Then we get back to good storytelling. There's a giant box with a smaller giant box inside it, and a smaller one inside it, and a smaller one inside it, so it's a Russian doll. Basically, there's a bomb squad making sure there's no mushrooms in it, and he doesn't save a toy for a little girl, he just saves a ring for a little girl, using the power of his wax-on hands. So these 3 top hat honkies distract Flash so he doesn't stop the box plot. Flash almost falls off via tightrope. I prefer if he just climbed up that fast with his bare hands. We get a super jumper, then Flash brings him down via tornado. Ha 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 ha. Then the third one with electrical powers is robbing a bank, and Flash defeats him with some coins. I don't think that's how metal works. I guess that currency should be used for robbing an ATM. Then we get the introduction of Captain Cold. We start off with Captain Cold freezing a bank. I really like the shots of the people and walls frozen. I wonder what he's gonna do to that paws fine young lady. And yes, I'm fine with the Penguin board game hammer breaking a door because that's how ice works. Then we get his backstory. He wants to fight the Flash. Yeah, I'm not a fan of villains whose creation is based around the main hero. So he goes into a place he used to work at, a science house where he steals a gun he created. Then he gets the clothes of an Eskimo. Might as well have him eat seals too. And we see possible names for him. Hot take, I think some of these names are better than Captain Cold. But hey, look at the bright side. We associate the name Sub-Zero with the Blue Ninja from Mortal Kombat, and the Blue Ninja from Mortal Kombat only, so that's a plus. Captain Cold later discovers that his Glock can create illusions. I do think this power has potential, given that he can stand out from other characters like Mr. Freeze, Iceman from the X-Men, and Killer Frost, but I don't like it here because it's just random shit. Like a million staircases, Jack Kirby merry-go-rounds, and a buzzsaw. Wouldn't it be better if there were a million ice staircases, ice Jack Kirby merry-go-rounds, and an ice buzzsaw? He summoned a polar bear earlier, so that makes a lot more sense. Give him a ninja next.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Can't blame you for thinking that. This story is called Around the World in 80 Minutes. I'm fine with the Flash running through water because he's fast. Anyway, he has to run some errands in 80 minutes because he's late for a date with a ginger nut named Iris, which I'll talk about in a bit. Flash goes to Paris and fights a terrorist, that kind of rhymes, who uses cat metaphors for his dialogue, and he saves the damsel in distress and defeats the bad guy by using his arm tornadoes. And no. Then he gets a kiss from the French girl he saved. You know, people in Paris are dicks. I'm surprised she didn't call him a wanker. Then he goes to Egypt. I can't blame you for wanting to save a lady there. Middle Eastern chicks are smoking. He defeats Osama bin Laden, but destroys the pyramid, and then he rebuilds it. Just why? That's so OP, it's stupid. Then he gets a kiss from one of the top 5 best culture girls. Yes! Mount Everest is having an avalanche, and then Flash destroys the avalanche by just running. And then he turns it into that famous tsunami painting. Give me a kiss for once, women! Then he's on the ocean where he's fighting pirates. And yes, pirates in modern day exist. The Flash is then chased by a Skull and Bone logo bomb. Okay, that's cool. I'll give the comic covers this. The books themselves do deliver. Then he gets a kiss from a sea woman. Why is this guy getting chicks and not me? Then we have my favorite villain so far, Mr. Element. The suit, the periodic table powers. This dude is definitely a challenge so far. He also has henchmen, named after some elements. And just like DC's rivals down the street, these guys have the first letter of their name on their head. His lair is in a cave. He was into the periodic table since he was a terrible 2. He's still a terrible 2, by the way. And instead of getting rich from silver and gold, he instead turns to a life of crime. So Mr. Element sends a message via the sky. It says, "Come fight me, Flash, you coward, or I'm gonna kill you." I've always had a soft spot for the message in the sky trope, because not only does it show that the villain seriously wants to fight the hero, but it also strikes fear into those who are not involved, nor will they ever be involved. Quite a mystery, I must say. When the Flash first encounters him, Flash goes through a wall by a heat hand job. It's better than just walking through the wall. Mr. Element proves to the reader that medicine is candy. He makes the Flash fly into space, and then the Flash comes back to Earth via circling the moon, which I'm fine with because he needs some way to get back. Our next story, a woman who is not Iris gets kidnapped by these aliens that grow huge and shrink into tiny midgets. Gulliver's Travels. They capture Barry into a giant hourglass, and then he shatters out of there. He saves this new lady from a cocaine bottle. To escape, Barry explodes the ouches by speeding. I don't know, they didn't show anything prior. They didn't show him planting bombs or anything. He's just overpowered. Then Mr. Element comes back with a new alias, Dr. Alchemy. While I like his new name better, I prefer his old suit better. The old suit was a modern mechanical suit with a gas mask, while this suit is a homeless guy pretending to be a wizard with an A on his forehead. His new weapon is what he calls the Philosopher's Stone. If that name sounds familiar, that was the name of the first Harry Potter book and movie outside the United States. The legend has it, it was able to turn mercury into gold or silver. Alchemists also believed that it was able to grant humans rejuvenation and immortality. So after Mr. Element got out of jail, he found the stone, I don't know, up his butt or something, and he goes on a crime spree. And of course, the Flash has some challenges in his battle with this cracker, such as bands not allowing his ass to run off, and he gets an illusion that he has millions of brothers and sisters, and they all glow. But then he breaks the illusion like how I broke a duck's neck. Ballard Hammer. Barry Allen keeps up with Dr. Alchemy, and then he throws the stone onto Goliath's forehead.
Do you think you can fight with sticks and stones?
Hey, remember when I say I was gonna talk about Iris? Well, there's a cute little trope that because the Flash has super speed as his power, he's always late for dates, so she accuses him of being the slowest man alive. This is why I've never been too keen on the secret identity storyline. There are literally times when she tells Barry right in front of his face she would prefer to date the Flash rather than him. I get that they're the same person secretly, but what the fuck, this bitch? Alright, make sure you don't give me that disappointment by liking and subscribing. I've gotta go fight crime now.